Ladies and gentlemen, filmmakers and moviegoers alike, welcome to this week's episode of Critically Casual. I'm your host, Srekcuf5, and joining me as always is the amazing Dorky Dev. Say hi, Dev.
I don't condone this.
What? I'm being safe here. I don't know what you're talking about.
Motherfucker, I'm indulging you for the beginning of this, alright? I will give you top 5 minutes with that.
If it makes you feel better, I forgot to set up the green screen. There was going to be like a whole bunch of medical equipment behind me. But instead, I'll just stick with the mask.
Thank God. Okay. Again, giving you 5 minutes.
No, I wasn't planning on keeping this on the whole time.
Okay.
Don't worry. But hi, everybody. Welcome to Critically Casual.
Hello, everyone. Hey, I'm in a new place.
Yes, absolutely. It looks exactly... I'm just kidding. Welcome to your new place.
Zoe brought it up during my stream. It is scarily similar to how I had my old setup because of just how I have the angles and everything. Like, this camera angle is almost identical to what I had.
Yeah, I barely had to move things around when...
Oh, yeah. Well, it's because the desk is the same. A lot of my setup around is the same. It's just everything back here is different. And also, I can turn my head and talk to you guys now because I've changed where the mic is because I don't have as much shit on my desk.
That is nice.
I don't have I can't just point next to me to my encyclopedias because I took them off the desk.
Now they're back there, and you'll have to walk all the way back there to go get them.
Well, they're technically I'm gonna set all my books outside in the living room.
Okay.
Because books don't have a place in here.
No, this is a place for gaming, not for books.
Yeah, pretty much.
All right.
I need to buy a couple shelves though. One for movies, one for books.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Well, I like it. Well, let's get started, I guess, unless there's anything else you want to talk about.
No, I'm good. Let's go.
All right. So this week, it's quarantine week, as I've dubbed it.
Yeah.
And we're watching 28 days and then 28 weeks later. Me and Dev apparently have very different opinions on these. Well, probably very similar opinions, but a lot of different things to talk about.
Probably. One will definitely be a more casual approach. The other will definitely be more of a critical approach, probably. But we will probably, without a doubt, end up somewhere in the exact same spot like we always some fucking how do.
Yep. So, with that being said, is there anything else we want to talk about before we get into our first movie?
Nope, I think we're good.
All right, so we're getting on in here to our first movie, 28 Days Later. So, where to start?
Where to start is where I should always start these. 28 Days Later came out on June 27th of 2003 in the U.S. I believe it was technically in 2002 when it came out in the U.K. With a... Well, that was unfortunate. I didn't notice until I was like halfway down my spiel.
Yep. So, yeah, you cut out at with a
estimated budget of $8 million. Opening weekend in the U.S. it made $10 million, making a budget back right then and there. With a gross worldwide of $85 million, which is pretty good because that's 10 times plus some on your budget then. No surprise it got a sequel at that point.
Absolutely.
So. And I'm just gonna warn people. There's a lot of this today. This one has Marvel alumni Christopher Eccleston, who some may know as the Ninth Doctor, but he's also Malekith from Thor: Dark World,
the
Forgotten One.
Yes.
Which is redeemed a little bit through Endgame, but doesn't necessarily redeem the movie. It just redeems that it's part of the franchise. Is the best way to put it.
Like, the worst part about these movies is I knew as soon as I saw them, I was like, God, there's gonna be that.
I'm gonna have a fucking field day today.
Yeah, there's a lot of them.
I forgot, when we get to 28 weeks, I forgot how many people are in that fucking movie. Because this one, it has a pretty good cast. Don't get me wrong. Crystal Eccleston shows up later. We got Naomi Harris, who was just in Skyfall, which we just watched. I think that was last week.
Skyfall,
yes, last week. As Moneypenny. It's got what's his name? Cillian Murphy, who was Scarecrow through the Dark Knight trilogy. He's in a lot of Nolan films like Dunkirk, Inception. Did this is a first for us, okay, by the way. I think this is the first time in a movie we've seen a penis.
You know, now that you mention it, I agree with you. Simultaneously. Go ahead, sorry.
Well, it happened, and I'm like, oh yeah, there's a penis in this.
Mm-hmm. Simultaneously, when that scene was happening, I was sitting there thinking, what medical procedure would he need to be naked for? Like, I don't know much about medicine, but he's got everything hooked up in his arms.
Did someone take off his... No, they couldn't take out his gown without taking everything off it. Why was he naked?
That was my question. They just felt
that's a good... You know what? That's an excellent question, now that you bring it up.
My first question, why is he naked? That was the first... I think that was minute 7 of the movie, because the first 3 or 4 were why this movie happened. Which, I'm going to be honest, the dumbest infection ever. Like, it's not a spoiler to say that the quote was, they're infected with rage. Like...
Yeah. Yes.
That's a little silly, I think.
Well, I mean...
Infected with rage.
I will say, it works better than other zombie movies as well. Because it's nice to have something that isn't just, just standard zombies. Because they don't necessarily eat people. You know what I mean?
That was something I was also confused about. Because the end of the movie kind of hinges on their eating, I guess. And we can't talk too much about it without getting into spoilers.
Well, the best way to put it is, I don't think they just eat people. You know what I mean? I think it's more that it's a they eat when they need to eat because it's more of a primal thing.
I feel like they just eat everything.
Yeah, they're not standard, because I wouldn't put. I'd say this is a subfamily. Like, it's a cousin to zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like, it still has, like, more humanistic stuff that it does, too.
Mm-hmm.
Is the best way to put it. It's not quite like, like your standard, like, zombies from, Walking Dead and, Dawn of the Dead. Kind of stuff like that.
I was about to say, like, all of the what's his name, director of the Dead movies. Not Raimi. God, I know his name, but I can't remember.
I know who you're talking about too. I'm not even gonna guess because I'm gonna mess it up.
It is Romero, George Romero.
Yes,
That's
thank
right.
you. Okay,
so
I know it started with an R.
Yes, I couldn't remember it at all, and it was bugging me. Romero zombies, yes, they kind of just have a thing and they exist.
Yeah,
kind of. Dawn of the Dead zombies, I think, have a little more explanation to them than that, but still kind of
Yes.
generic. Um, One of my favorite representations of zombies has to be from The Last of Us.
Oh no, that one I honestly. Well, and the other thing too is like those kind of zombies I put in like as a cousin of zombie. You know what I mean?
hmm
Um, because
What do you feel about the Will Smith zombie vampire type movie?
from what I've heard, the book ones are more vampire.
Yeah, they're supposed to be vampires, but they kind of act like zombies in the movie.
Yeah. And I would almost put them again. I would put them as a more intelligent form of these ones,
Okay.
if that makes sense. Like a more, they still have far more human-esque qualities to them than the 28 series ones do.
Like,
The 28 ones still have like some form of cognitive ability
yeah,
that isn't just eat.
hmm the 28-day ones, like, there are times where they're almost like they know that they're humans and they're infected, and other times that
Yeah.
they don't, you know? So it's interesting. But
Yeah.
the reason I think behind that is I think it's because the moral of this movie is important. Because if you didn't know, Fox Searchlight is their indie film
Yes.
makers. And so this first film is, of course, an indie film. Made low budget, released on a massive production thanks to Fox, because they thought, hey, this could do well, and it did well. Um,
It did very well.
yeah, and I bring up that, and the reason I transitioned to this from the zombies being different, because this is a different type of movie. That, like, you know how I was complaining with Godzilla versus Godzilla King of Monsters, where I thought there wasn't enough monster conflict, and there also wasn't enough, like, human conflict?
Yes.
This, for me, is a good representation of human conflict around the problem that's happening. Because the problem in this movie is zombies. The conflict
He's
is
human.
humans and the relationships.
Essentially, you're telling me
they have.
Walking Dead.
Kind of, yes. But
At least earlier Walking Dead.
because what I got from this movie ultimately was it led me to a couple of questions. The first one being, where did I write this here? Is this indie filmmaker being pro-virus, aka he's pro just killing everybody off? The second thought I had was, are people just the virus themselves? Like, the whole commentary of this movie is that sure there's a problem going on around them, but what we get to see is more the relationships with our people and how they interact with each other and how those relationships with each other lead to certain situations, because there's a lot of portion in this movie that are just kind of road trip moments where we get to have our group together and they're driving down the road, and these are also one of the only moments in the film that have music to it, and that music is very calm and serene and happy and peaceful. So it's like it's a commentary on, even though that there's this huge pandemic going on, these people are still having a lovely time together and having, like, they're laughing and joking around and just having a jolly old time. And then when the music shuts down and things get real, the infected show up. And this happens so many times where, like, things get happy, and it's because the family's having a good time together. And then once the family part of the movie is over, then we head to, like, the military portion of the movie, where it's a whole different type of commentary between people and their interactions. And I understand that, like, to me, it feels like the whole point of this movie is it's trying to say that people themselves are the problem, and that
No,
it doesn't matter what the
I see it.
situation is. It's the people.
It could do it in a little less time, is my opinion on this.
Absolutely. This
And I think that's my problem with this movie. Is great story and everything around it. It's just, especially that middle chunk, the road trip, just goes on and on. Like, I didn't even get, but like, I had to watch this in two parts, which is one of the few times I've had to do this. But like, I got an hour in, and I think it was before I think an hour. Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up real quick
Mm-hmm.
where I was, because funny enough, we still technically have it rented at the moment.
Yes, we
So
do. We have it ready until tomorrow, I think. Oh, I'm hitting a lag
yes.
spike. Hold on a second.
Yeah, I had just.
I lagged out. Hang on. Okay, hold up. Hang on. All right, we've reconnected.
All right. So the part that I had gotten to last
Oh,
night.
another lag spike. Hang on.
Uh-oh.
All right, we're back.
Okay. The part I had gotten to was the weird. It's not really a spoiler. It's the weird dream moment that happened.
Oh, yeah.
Which still unexplained entirely. I don't know why that's in the movie. It didn't need to be there.
Nope.
I got to that, paused, saw I still had 57 minutes left, and was like, no, nope. I am going to go to bed. I'm going to go to bed now. I'll get up early. I'll knock out the 2 movies and stream. Exactly what I did, because the next movie is a little bit shorter, and it's a little bit easier to sit through, I think. Because this one, it just... I don't want to say it drags its feet, but the pace... the break in the 3... This movie is a perfect 3-act film. You have the beginning part, the road trip, the military.
Mm-hmm.
That's how this film breaks up. Those are your 3 acts.
Oh, 1 second.
Do 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 do. You know, it doesn't help that currently probably where you are, everyone is on the fucking internet.
No, it doesn't.
A lot of broadband issues over there probably right now.
Yeah, it's so bad that apparently the TV up front is having problems.
Jesus, because
Yeah.
that many people are watching TV.
Yeah.
God. If you missed it, we were talking about broadband issues because Steven's in California and they're on lockdown. So
Yeah, shelter in place. Hooray. We're all
and
quarantined.
Washington is kind of on it, but it's not quite yet.
Mhm.
It's all businesses are closed. We're not quite on lockdown yet.
Like,
And even then, if we're on lockdown, I'm not going to be on lockdown because I work in essentials. So
even if things were on lockdown, my dad would still have to go out because he works. It's weird. He's a printer repairman, but he goes to like hospitals and banks and schools.
it's an essential job.
Yeah.
Like printer repair, IT is an essential job this day and age, and that's an IT thing.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I work at a Target and we sell essentials, cleaning, body, food, all the stuff that you're going to need during this time. So,
Could you sell better internet?
I wish. But like that's why that's again why
That's why we chose these movies.
well, partially. Like that's like honestly the whole reason we chose these movies is because things going on right now. It's topical in a way, but at the same time, it was the first movies that came to our fucking mind after everything. After our entire schedule was just like, hey, you guys had a good plan going.
And we had planned for horror movies this week, so we kind of got them.
No? Oh, right. Yeah, this week was horror movies. That's right.
Yeah, it was Get Out.
Next week was
next week
was
is
the
Disney.
Mulan movies. Yes. Okay. Right. Completely forgot. I forgot there was one more week of March. Not gonna lie. I'll be honest. March has been such a fucking blur for me because of everything.
Yeah. It's all blending together.
It really is, man. I like my my things are just. Anyways, with this movie, it's just the pace issue. I think it's its problem. Like I think the story and the acting and everything in it is really good. And the conversation you can have about it, around it, is really great.
Yeah.
But it's just broken up with such a weird pace issue that centerpiece, it pulls a Phantom Menace and Revenge of the Sith. First part's a lot faster. second act is slow, and third act has a build. In all reality, it should be the slow build fast part. If I'm remembering my acts correctly. Or it should be build fast, slow for your closing.
Give or take, yeah.
Something like that. Not you don't want your middle part to be your slowest part.
No, you do not.
Because that's gonna make people like myself, who after drinking and playing games all night try to watch this movie and go, man, I can't finish this tonight. I knowingly can't. And I think that's maybe this problem, because I don't think there's anything else I really have a complaint about in this movie.
I've got a handful of things I can complain about.
Ooh, well, all yours then. Because I'd like to hear if I can line up with them. Because also, I will admit, I watched half of this last night, and I had drank some. Not a lot, but enough to be like, not memory impaired, but like, not as caring as I probably should be for one of these.
For me, a lot of the things I care about are like the technical parts of this movie, because I really like the thought, because to me this movie is about, like I said, the commentary of people interacting with people around the problem. The reason I brought up Godzilla, like I said, is because the two don't mix well, and I wanted to compare it to Shin Godzilla, the 2014 Chinese. I don't remember where it was released.
Probably Japan.
Probably, yeah. It was a commentary on their people's interactions with radioactive waste and nuclear war, while
Japan.
Yeah, while Godzilla was going on his rampage. So it was more a people problem that dealt with the Godzilla rather than Godzilla problem himself. That's what this movie reminds me of, and that's kind of what I think the point of this film was a commentary about people. That being said, it's your pacing thing I agree with is 100% correct. It just feels so slow at times, especially because my notes here were literally 30 minutes in, and only one thing has happened, which was the church.
Yeah.
But then, it was funny, because immediately after I wrote that down, 31 minutes in, random attack, where the guy just runs through the wall for no reason.
Yeah.
I was like, alright, cool. So that they needed to throw something in there to get us entertained.
Then we have that thing that happened because of it, and it's like, damn, alright.
Yeah, but from there, though, then we run into a bunch of technical problems. There's a bunch of microphone peaking where it just... everyone knows what microphone peak sounds like, but especially when they're in the staircase and they're...
I can't do it because I have my S thing set correctly, so I can't peak.
Yeah, but they would overload their mic so it'd sound really bad.
Yeah. Okay. Now that you mention it, I think I can remember that a little.
Mm-hmm. A lot of the movie was filmed in a Dutch tilt, so everything was crooked, and that bugged me because it was supposed to be a tense moment, I guess, but the whole sequences were filmed at Dutch tilt angles, which really lowered the tension overall.
That might have been a subconscious thing for me, because I think because how I process movies is different than you, and when something is used like that, it becomes the norm for the movie. Mm-hmm. So it probably fell under my CGI category. Mm-hmm. Because it's used like that, it no longer it is the problem, but also that means that they can't use it for what they would normally use it for. Mm-hmm. For me, so I didn't even notice that. Now that you mention it.
Okay. Additionally, once they started having some weird visual effect things that were easily seeable. There's the moment after they go shopping and the car is driving by. There's a field of flowers, which looks just strange.
It was painted.
Yeah, it was painted.
It was
flowers
a matte painting
with a car driving by, which that was fine. Additionally, the other problems that I had with it were let's see, where was
It was like a Monty Python thing.
Yeah,
is how it looked. My problem is, if you're going to do a stylistic choice like that, you can't just do it once.
Yeah, you have to keep doing it. And you could also... There was one moment when they got to Manchester, I think it was, and you could see the line in the street where the practical filming ended and the matte painting background that was all digital started. It was just a thick black line right in the middle. There's a transition early in the movie where it's like the cityscape as you're going through a skitty, and then the camera pans up and you see the guy laying in the bed. But if you look in the top left corner of the screen, you could see his like face as he's asleep there, because you could see that they didn't put the blanket high enough in the camera initially. So you could see like the cityscape, and you just see, and then it zooms up to see him. Oh, the lag again. Hang on, let me leave the call.
Hey, there we go.
How much did you hear of me?
Cityscape and then blank.
Yeah, there's the cityscape in the blanket, and then when it rises up, you could see the two of them sleeping together next to each other in the very beginning of the film. But you could see his face in the blanket as the cityscape is going by, so it's just this weird, like, sleepy face in the background as the city is going by. And there's a bunch of other little small technical things like that as well. Additionally, there's, like, shots that they do with the camera angles and lenses where... one specifically that caught my attention was when our main character is setting off the siren in the rain, and it's a close-up of his face, but you could see all these rain droplets in focus in front of him, in front of his face that's also in focus, and that's just the lens that they used in the location of the camera. I'm assuming they just needed to be far enough away so they weren't in the rain, and they used a far lens so their range of focus was really wide.
Yeah.
So, it's like it's a lot of this was indie. Like it felt like something I would have made in college. I would make now probably, honestly.
Yeah, I mean, and with a budget of only $8 million, I can understand it. I guess I can excuse it more because like $8 million in 2002 goes a lot less far than $8 million today, movie wise. In the sense of equipment and stuff like that, CGI and other stuff, different ballparks.
So, random question: was this $8 million or £8 million?
Dollars.
Okay.
Is what it says.
Okay. So say I don't know the conversion rate of money, but I don't know anything. I was trying to figure something out. But yeah, there's like with this movie specifically, it's just it feels to me like there is a lot of it feels like someone's like thesis assignment essentially, where they came up with some really interesting idea for a film and they threw it in together and it works. It's just not well structured. It's a little drawn out and there's some kind of like basic technical mistakes. But overall, I would say I like this movie. Like, it wasn't scary by any means.
No.
At all. But I
would not consider this horror.
No. But I enjoyed this movie. Like, I would recommend this to people, like film friends who want to analyze a movie and dissect a movie. This is definitely one that I would recommend to them.
This should be a film that is used in studies and stuff like that for like film study.
Because it's not perfect, but there's a lot of potential in here, and there's a lot that you could talk about. I especially like the fact that you could easily tell that this movie was sponsored by Pepsi.
Yeah.
So
that first drink where he's holding it like this,
upside down, and you can see the logo. Or when she's pulling out drinks from the cabinet and it's just
and
like...
the Pepsi's the close, like there's several Pepsi's,
and
then also when she pulls them out of her bag, Pepsi or this.
So
this podcast is not sponsored by Pepsi though.
Darn.
God, I wish.
I mean, I would drink a lot of Pepsi, especially cherry Pepsi, or their real sugar Pepsi. That's pretty darn good.
The real sugar one's real good. I like that one.
All right, but back to this. But yeah, honestly, the only thing about this movie is the fact that it's just the social commentary and like the faith in humanity is the biggest part of this movie. And then the technical aspects. The only other thing that I would talk about is like the what if at the end. But
Yeah, kind of weird.
yeah, I feel like that was the initial test ending that they like. Have you seen Dodgeball? Like the actual movie Dodgeball?
Yes, and they lose at the end,
Yes.
right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
That's kind of what I think.
in the test one.
Yeah, that's kind of what I think this was. That was their test ending, and it didn't go well with their audience. So they
And I
switched
understand why, because I don't know if it would have worked as an ending as much.
Mm-hmm. I agree.
I mean, I get dark endings, but like that one just felt.
1 second, Dev.
Hello.
Hello. I need 1 more second while OBS reconnects.
Yeah, it's just gonna be one of those days.
It is.
Sucks, but I mean, it's kind of the hand we're dealt right now.
Attempting.
Still says we're live for me.
Mine says it's attempting to reconnect. In 3, 2, 1. Reconnecting successful. No, wait, maybe. There we go. Now we're streaming again. According.
Get the refresh. Okay, yep, we're live.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's just gonna be one of those days because things are funky right now. We'll figure this out. If need be, we may switch who hosts the call just for right now because I don't think I'm getting hit as hard.
Probably not now.
Broadband. We may just do that next week, stuff like that. So
We'll see. But yeah, let's talk about what we can while we can.
Yes.
So yeah, the what if ending is darker, but kind of unneeded.
Yeah.
So we get the better. I'd say less poetic almost. Kind of like that's the ending that they wanted, but I still like the ending that we got.
Yeah. It feels earned.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say more. Like I feel that it's a more earned ending. Is the best way to put it.
Especially after all they go through, like, because, yeah, like I feel like if the moral of the movie is that people are terrible, and then our main protagonists and go through what they ended up going through in the what if ending, like that would just reinforce the people are terrible vibe. And my internet just froze again. At least the call froze. Huh. Yep. Alright. Video.
I was still there. I could still hear you and everything.
Yeah, but the video on my side was frozen. But either way, so yeah. I don't really have much else to talk about.
Hello.
Hello. Do we want to just change like our zone that we're in?
That might be it. I'll switch us to Central. We'll see how this goes for right now then.
Alright. So, Dev, is there anything else you want to talk about in 28 Days Later?
No, I think like there's gonna be less for me to talk about on this one because from the casual side of things, this movie is kind of slow.
Movie.
It's I appreciate what it does, but man, it's long.
That's for sure. So So
A 2 hour and 57-minute runtime, or 53-minute runtime. 57 if you watch the through the credits to the what if. Um, whew, it takes a while.
yeah.
So
All right, Dev. So I'm gonna give you your 10 popcorn kernels then. What will you give 28 Days Later?
I'll give it a comfortable 7.
Comfortable 7?
Yeah,
All right.
because I can appreciate what it is,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not going to be higher than what I would put as like my passing average.
Okay. Because
If that makes sense.
That does make sense, actually. I also was gonna give this a 7, like, because I appreciate what it's doing in a good sense, but it's technically flawed and structurally long and boring. So, yeah, you're not wrong.
All right, cool. Wow, that's a solid right there.
Solid 7.
Solid 7. Love
All
when
right.
we get the solids.
All right, let's move on to our next movie then. Get it going while we can. Which, gotta say, I liked less 28 weeks later. And you're frozen on my side again. So I'm going to leave the call for a second, and I will be right back. Oh, no, you refreshed. Never mind.
Okay, so I found a way that I can fix it. I just need to switch what region we're in.
All
So
right.
anytime it happens, I can just quickly change what region we're in.
Okay. But did you hear what I said?
No.
Okay. God, this is going to be frustrating.
This is going to be rough. I'm sorry, everyone. It's just the situation we're dealing with right now.
Yeah, so, I like this movie less. A lot less.
I like this one more. A lot more. I figured this would be the one out of the two. I figured we'd be like almost identical on that one on 28 days. But as soon as I got through 28 weeks, I'm like, and Steven's gonna not have a great opinion on this, but I actually really enjoy this one more.
Like, when I think of 28 Days Later, I think of the conversation of the people relationships. When I think of 28 Weeks Later, I think a sensationalized zombie film which kind of tries to tell a similar message, but fails in the process.
I'll have my opinion about that in a moment. But first, 28 weeks later came out. Funny enough, 5 years later, on May 11th in 2007. It had a estimated budget of $15 million. Opening weekend in U.S. made $9 million, and gross worldwide was $65 million. Not as good as the first one did on like box office numbers, but it made at least quad its estimated budget, which is good. Because making 3 times essentially means profit. So they made profit. So that's kind of what matters there. With a really crazily star-studded cast. You've got... I'll do our 2 Marvel alumni first, with Jeremy Renner and Idris Elba in this. As, Hawkeye, and he plays a sniper in this, which is funny. And I'm pretty sure they saw this movie and went, we'll put him in Thor as Hawkeye. We put him in a nest as a sniper. And that Idris Elba, who plays Heimdall, is in this. You also have Rose Byrne, who's been in a shit ton of stuff, especially lately. She movie that we've seen her in. I'm trying to look through her IMDb with last one. I mean, she's in Apocalypse, but we didn't do Apocalypse yet. Yeah, I don't think we've done any... wow, weird. We haven't watched a movie with her in for this show yet that I've seen. Anyways.
She's very popular lately.
No, she's very popular. Like, she's in a lot of movies lately. But,
I know.
Like,
It's just...
most of them have been comedies. So I think that's why we don't do a lot of comedies on here.
I just think that's kind of funny. Like, yeah, she's been super popular in a lot of movies lately. Like, we haven't seen any of her movies. All right.
There are a lot of comedies. We don't do a lot of comedies on here.
Hang on,
yeah.
And we're back, I think. Nope, we're gone. And we're back. And we're gone. uh,
It's gonna be a rough one. Do you record these separately?
I record them, yes.
Okay, I'm just asking.
Yeah, so all this in between stuff here. Yeah, it's here.
Good.
Another couple
For
of
us.
seconds, and I might be able to reconnect.
This is why we needed to make our own version of technical difficulties.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tech issues.
We're back.
Okay. It's also got Robert Carlyle, who was in Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, he's the one who really caught my attention. I was like, I've seen you. Where have I seen you before? I can't. And
He was also in Aragon, which probably is on our list of like if we want to do shit movies again at some point. That is definitely on my list of shit movies because I have so much anger towards that movie. You have no idea.
I was about to say, I hear it's a really shitty movie compared to the book, but I also couldn't get through the first
book growing up. It was one of the books that my dad read to us.
Mm-hmm. I couldn't get
So
through
I
the
have
book
a
in my own
fond
free
memory.
time.
That's fair. When did you try to read it though?
It was, I think, sophomore year of high school.
Okay, you middle school you probably would have been more into it.
Okay. Hey, high
Middle
school, I was
school,
doing all my
elementary
vampire
school.
books.
Yeah, you were in a weird phase. That you're still. Are you still in that phase?
Every once in a while. I regress to my. I'm assuming you switched us.
Oh, bam! This faster fix. What can I say?
Sure.
Um,
For me, it's just getting sudden. Suddenly, it's just like, oh, it's black, and
I noticed you froze, so I went. Ah! It's also got Howard. Harold.
Harold.
What?
Harold.
Harold. Wow, I'm an idiot. Harold. I can't pronounce his last name, but he's from The Matrix. Played Link.
Mm-hmm.
And Reloaded and Revelations.
Perinow, something like that. It's French.
Yeah. A lot of, again, weirdly like recognizable cast. Like the main people you see in this movie, I'm like, oh yeah, I've seen them before.
Like this movie definitely feels like they're like, hey, 28 Days Later did amazing in theaters. Let's get actually good actors. Let's actually put some CG in there. Let's amp up the action and the violence a little bit. And then they lost all of the story and the morals and the plot.
Yes. But it's okay. You know, I got to take this from a casual side, man. It is a far easier watch.
It is easier to watch, yes. But I kind of felt like what I was watching had a lot less point to it. Because, like, I know it's preference, of course, based on what we're trying to watch.
I know.
This is definitely a much more entertaining film for people who aren't dissecting it, I guess is a safe way to put it.
Welcome to this podcast where one dissects, the other just devours.
Stop telling people about our food review show. God. Dissect and devour.
Oh yeah, that was the name of it, wasn't it?
I think it was, but
shit, that's still a great idea. That would be an only YouTube kind of thing though for us. So, it's definitely a more popcorn flick. Is how I'll put it. Which for me works better because the other one, like, if the other one was like 20 minutes shorter, I would be 100% on your side on this.
Mm-hmm.
But this movie is 20 minutes shorter than the other one. And maybe isn't as deep, but it's deep enough.
Yeah, like in this movie, the moral that I got was paranoia is the enemy, really. Like, panic is what causes the problems. And I thought that was interesting, but I liked the message of the first movie better.
Yeah, no, I can agree. I agree to the messaging of the first one's better.
Mm-hmm.
I will 100% give you that. Like the movie, the first one, the 28 Days has that down 100% better than this one does. The problem is that this one, at least for me, this one does better with threat level feels higher, because it's not just some like a small group of military people. It's like the like a freaking like a huge amount of people military wise. Like it's not just one small brigade. It's an actual like Air Force. It's an actual military this time. The military side of issues. The infected, like they're not that different from what they were in the first one. Except I have one question when we get to spoilers, and I'll talk to you about that when we get there. But except one of them seems to be able to teleport. But like the infected feel more threatening, I guess.
I would say yes and no. Like, they feel more threatening only to me because of the situation that the people have brought themselves into, Like, this feels like. It's oddly enough, these movies feel like a great representation of what's going on in our lives right now. Because I'm sure anyone who was stuck on a quarantine cruise ship would really feel connected to this film, where all of these people are jammed into one place as this infection is running rapid. Like,
yeah, no, that's fair.
So, part of me feels like this is once again like, it's that's why I got the commentary idea of it being about paranoia, because if it wasn't for people being so paranoid and getting locked up and crammed into small places, things would have been fine. And if they weren't, so I guess so paranoid with their policies, then they would have been, I don't know. They were relaxed at some times, but too paranoid at others, and because they got themselves into this weird situation of settling, it collapsed on them. Oh, do the thing, Dev. Do the thing, Dev. Do the thing. I know you can't hear me. I've got to do it.
I also said that's fair. It also seems that there's also just that one guy who seems to be just out for himself.
Yeah, that's something I'll talk about too, because he's the one that makes the movie. He's the one that makes the infected feel more connected to the first film to me. But at the same time, he has magic teleporting powers.
What the fuck?
So,
Hold on, I'm gonna pull up a map of London as well while we have this conversation.
like, the whole thing is, it feels like this person, our teleporting zombie, his things come from his privileges that he had before he was infected. And I think that was the point that they were trying to get across. But it was poorly explained if that's his only way to get through the places. Because no other zombies really show the cognitive powers that he does.
Yeah. Nope, that's very true. Because somehow they just end up there. I'm trying to find that stadium. Let me see. Yeah, that might be it. Holy shit! Like, no matter where they were, because they were, holy crap! No, that fucker had to have teleported far.
He can
Because,
run
like,
real fast.
closest point from the other side of the river is at least a 2 hour and 45 minute walk. Or 54 minute walk.
He can run really fast. And knows all the secret access routes. And still knows how to use his key card. Oh. It loads in and it freezes.
This episode is going to get shotgun down people's throat, all right? We are going to get through this
Yes.
quickly, all right? All right, so bullet points. I think it's a better movie because it's faster paced. It doesn't get boring.
It doesn't get boring?
I couldn't do this before. I couldn't just get close to the mic and lose my fucking mind.
Does it make you feel better?
Yes, it does.
It helps me
I don't have to lean
sometimes too.
I don't have to lean all the way over here to do it anymore. So
Yeah, being able to just rest your head on your microphone when things are going wrong just helps sometimes.
stop doing that because you don't move as much, and I can't tell when it freezes as easy. Right?
Okay, so yeah, I agree with you. Like, this is definitely a better casual moviegoer film. Like,
Yes.
it's more entertaining. It's a faster pace. It has more zombie stuff. It's better action at times. I personally don't like that though. I feel like the best part about the first movie was its substance that it had and the story that it told behind the story. Which that's what this movie is lacking. Additionally, I hate found footage, and this movie has like the whole last third of it is a found footage montage in night vision, and that I just don't like.
Fair.
So
That's
fair.
That's fair. Um. So for me, I don't mind found footage as much. It depends on what the kind of found footage it is. Because I like Cloverfield movie.
I
First
don't.
one.
So
You don't. But I also hate Paranormal Activity.
yeah, that's just a bad movie. That's just jump
yeah.
scares the movie.
No, it's not. It's an hour and a half before anything happens, and then jump scares the movie. It's
That's true.
it's nothing happens the movie until something happens the movie.
Nothing happens until something happens at the very end. The movie.
Pretty much. I hate it. But like, I think the thing is, no matter what, we're going to be on opposite ends of this. But that's just because who we are. Like, it's not really an argument, or like, there's no arguing this movie because we both understand where the other one's going to come from. This one.
Yes. We're looking at the exact opposite things and liking the exact opposite things. That's.
But like at the same time, I'm not going to take away from the fact that yes, I do think the plot in the first one is a lot better and stronger, and character is better in the first one.
What did you think about the CG in this movie? Because I thought it was
It's
terrible.
consistent.
Consistently terrible.
Yes, but it's consistent.
That's good at least.
They set the bar early with
the
that fake ass
security camera.
airport.
Oh, the fake airport too. Yes. What
was the other thing?
Like part of me couldn't tell how much of it was fake and how much was real, but the fake airport caught me. Another part was after the kids got off the plane and the security cameras were monitoring them. Every moving security camera was fake. And I was like, oh, well, that's off-putting.
Yeah.
And it just kept happening.
Yeah, but again, They set the bar early, which is always my thing. If you're going to set the bar early on your CGI,
If you're gonna
and keep
set
it
the bar
consistent,
low, set it early.
yes, that was my whole. That's been my deal. If you're going to have bad CGI, set it in early, because if you rely on it late in the movie, it's going to be jarring.
Mm-hmm.
You set it early, the casual audience isn't going to care as much.
Okay.
So,
Right.
I think just no matter what, this film is like it's just it's an easier to digest film. It's the thing. It's just you get some popcorn, you enjoy it, kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
While 28 Days is not a film that I could have watched last night because of what it is.
I can appreciate
Like,
that.
Like I need to make sure that I've set a time away and I'm not focused on other stuff, or I didn't have a lot of other stuff happening. It's not a film that I could watch at the end of the day. So, I guess there's that as well.
I can appreciate that.
Anything else for you?
Overall, I would say that this movie, like it's like we said, better. Like I wanted to say that better put together for sure. CGI was the worst part for me in this, and the fact that the the morals were not quite there. But ultimately, I think it's fine. It's just not entirely what I look for in a movie. So it's like if I had to give it popcorns, may I?
Which I'll give you.
Okay. I would give this movie. I'm gonna round it up to a 6. I'll say a 6 for me because it's not quite like a. It's not just your average film. It's better than that, but at the same time, I feel like it lost a lot of the charm that the original had. So
That's fair. I was gonna give it a 7.5 just due to the fact that it's shorter. Like that's seriously the only reason why I'm giving it a few more points. Like literally half a point more. Is like and that's my biggest complaint with the other one. It's just it's too long. Like if it was just 15-20 minutes shorter, I think it would be an easier to digest film. Which is something for me that matters because I don't have all the time in the world, and if a film is gonna make me feel drained by the end of it, it's not gonna be easy for me to go through.
it better be the fucking Irishman.
It better be Endgame, all right? Endgame, I'm fine with feeling drained after because like if that's a 3-hour movie that like has a consistent pace through it, also, like it's not just like there's not a middle section that nothing happens on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the movie's just a lot of payoffs that if you're a fan of that franchise, you're like, yes, this entire movie, yes. But this one, but I also don't want it to be like Rise of the Skywalker, which has progressively gotten worse over time, which is just baffling to me for a Star Wars movie. Because like some Star Wars movies just kind of start out bad, and like the public goes, "Oh, yeah, that was bad." Rise of Skywalker was really a mixed bag, but the more they talk about it, the worse it gets. But you feel drained after watching it because it's just like through everything. It's just throwing everything in the kitchen sink at you.
You know what's kind of funny is like when we get to I'm gonna switch over to news real fast, or spoilers real fast for this movie. But do we want to spoil this movie? Is there anything really to spoil?
7.5. And the rounds to a 7. You 7s today. I mean, you want to talk teleporting zombie?
Yeah.
Or is there anything you want to talk about other than that, though?
A little bit actually. Okay, let me tell you what I wanted to say then real fast about talking about Rise of Skywalker since it was brought up. I was gonna bring up some more news things about it, but I decided against it because this time around, a lot of the news about it was Easter eggs. So Easter eggs and bonuses that they managed to get into the movie, but they couldn't get in main plot points. So, but then I decided against it.
I'm perfectly fine with Easter eggs being in the film. It's just everything else that's coming out afterwards hurt. like Easter eggs work really well. Like look again, Endgame. I just watched Filmento's like because he does how to fail at said movie. And Rise of Skywalker is how to fail at Endgame. And it is, because they try to do everything Endgame does without the movie that created Endgame. Because Endgame is built on Infinity's back.
Yeah, and Rise of Skywalker is built by breaking down the one just before it, which is named
Last Jedi.
Yes. You will not be the Last Jedi. But yeah. Alright, let's start talking spoilers while we still have decent internet.
So Robert Carlyle
Dawn.
teleported through this movie.
Yes.
And at a minimum to that stadium, I don't exactly know London well enough to know. I just know they were on the south side of the river to get to the stadium in London. Okay? On the north side. Got it?
Got it.
Did they say Hyde Park is where they were going?
I'm gonna say yes.
Okay. Wow, that makes some more problems. Not gonna lie. Because oh. So looking at this map, okay, so maybe the entire time they were going to Hyde Park before going to the stadium, the other group. Because if I put it from the same point, let's say, or let me back that out. Say right there. 2 hour 30. We add a location. Go to Hyde Park. The walk, from where, let's say, kind of right next to the City of London, on the south side of the river, right where it says on the map City of London. Mm-hmm. Kind of right about there. If you go straight to the stadium, it's like a 2 hour 30-minute walk. If you go to Hyde Park to the stadium, it's about a 4 hour walk. So feasible that in that time, the dad got to, if they walked, got to there. But there's a car scene. And I know it's not super long. But driving through an empty major city is far faster than walking. Far faster than running over there. The dad has to be in a dead sprint to beat them there.
And he beats them there. That's the problem.
Also, the weird vision thing, I don't know if it was PTSD for the kid, or if the dad was there when he does the zigzag moment.
When
in
he
the alleyway.
Yeah, and he looks over and he sees his dad there for a second, and then he's not.
And then
there.
He's gone.
Yeah, as soon as the soldier shows up, Jeremy Renner.
Yeah.
It's hard to say because we can't tell.
If again, if that's really him, that makes it less likely he got there before them, as well. Mm-hmm. At the same time. Okay, at the same time as them. Okay, I'll give it that. Same time as them.
My guess is that instance, it is not real.
But you see him before he turns his head. He's in the foreground.
Oh, yeah. You see the boy, and you see him in the background, and you look over.
Before the kid looks over.
Yeah. It's hard to say. Because at the same time, he had a nightmare beforehand, which showed a spreading of infection in the eye,
and his mom.
Yes, and then we get to see a little bit later where we get to see his mom, so who has said infection. So
don't fuck with psychic abilities in a film that doesn't need it. That's all I'm gonna say.
I don't think it's
because they're not defined, and you don't actually know what's real and what's not, because you didn't explain that this kid has some form of psychic. God damn it!
I don't. We were fine. We were fine until you switched the server. Hi,
I
Dev.
straight up broke my Discord.
Like, it was totally working fine until you started switching servers for on my side. Like, you were fine,
Oh.
and then you were like, God damn it! And then you switched it, and I was like, what? Why? It was fine!
You were gone for me.
Okay.
You were completely frozen for me. And then I completely broke my Discord.
And now my OBS
apparently.
is messed up.
I noticed.
In a couple more seconds, it'll reconnect, maybe.
We're just gonna shotgun the news.
The only other thing that I wanted to possibly talk about, if we get there, is the mom.
Oh.
But
Yeah.
and we're back. And Discord fucks up right as we come back. Ah. Hey, we're back.
Hi. I was saying it's a weird moment because I did this. I was scratching my nose. I'm like, oh,
Yeah.
weird moment for me. I went and looked over. Weird moment for me. I saw you were frozen. I'm like, fuck.
It was a weird moment, and we froze on that weird moment. So, the only other thing I want to talk about in the movie is the mom, because I think it's kind of silly and a little dumb that heterochromia leads to immunity to the virus.
I think it's just probably something that like is involved with that. Maybe. I don't know how anyone make an actual like antibody / vaccine to this disease from that without dissecting the kid's brain, but
Hey, now.
straight up Ellie shit level
I
there.
was about to say, yeah.
But at the same time, at the end of this movie, you see the Paris scene, and I'm like,
And you see the Paris scene, and you're like, what?
and I'm like, okay, what the fuck happened there?
Yeah, especially like it feels because the end of the movie is the boy and his sister being brought across the channel and freed from England. I'm assuming somewhere near France so that the infection can spread to Paris. But if that's the case, it just means that the boy, our main character that we're hoping for, is the problem and spreads the virus. And that's it.
That, or they somehow crossed the river. It's not really a river here, it's a channel, I know, but fuck off.
The pond.
No, the pond would be to us.
Sure. So,
Across the river / channel, because you gotta like small it down. You know what I mean? Because the ocean is a lot bigger than a pond, so you small it down. So across the pond, across the river from England is France.
so it manages to helicopter to France. So yeah,
I don't know. It's confusing.
yeah. So I just don't like this movie as much because of it.
Oh, that's fair.
Alright. So
Still wish we would have got a
a sequel in France,
yeah, 28 months.
where we could see just zombies all up and down the Eiffel Tower.
Well, not necessarily in France, but Europe, and then we get 28 years later, and it's
The entire world.
yeah, really slow moving virus.
Well, they thought they had defeated it the first time. Because for some reason all things that the virus ate on died, and after a month of not eating, it died as well. But
It's longer than a month,
well, yeah, but still.
roughly. The other thing too is like, the fact that it gets to Europe means that all of Asia and Africa are fucked. Potentially, it may not do well in the heat.
I don't know if Plague Inc. has taught me anything.
Well, it depends on if the virus is attuned to that. Because also, it's in the human body.
I would think it's fine with the heat if it's in the human body. That it just
Well-
goes with the cold.
The creatures don't seem to hydrate very much,
True.
so they may not be able to survive there as much. So
Maybe. I have no idea. Want to
I
head
don't know
into the
either,
news?
but we never know. Yeah, let's go to the news.
All right, wrap this up while we still can. So I don't really have much for news because the news this week was a lot similar to the news last week, which is just more cancellations, things are postponed.
Things are going to digital early.
Yeah, people are dying. So not much to talk about. There was one instance that I thought was kind of interesting that I can bring up a little bit, which was the production assistant for the Batwoman movie was paralyzed on set due to an accident.
Was it the movie or was it the show?
Show.
It's CW's Batwoman, the show.
The
Yeah.
show. My apologies. Where a rig was slowly, it was basically a scissor lift essentially, was slowly being lowered and didn't notice her beneath them, and it hit her in the head and paralyzed her from the waist down. So it's unfortunate, like, and it's really sad that this woman's life has changed because of this, but at the same time, like, there's not much else I have to say. Like, I really
It's
feel
just a
bad.
shitty situation.
Yeah, it's a really shitty
Like-
situation, and it could have been avoided. It really could have if someone was paying more attention somewhere, be it the lift operator, be it her where she was sitting, be it somebody who was communicating with her. There's a lot of things that could have happened. But it just sucks because this is an industry that I want to work in, and it's just a reminder that every industry, no matter what you work, there's dangers.
Yeah.
Keep that in mind, friends. Otherwise, I haven't really got much news.
No, because I don't want to cover the same stuff we've been covering for 3 weeks.
Did you hear
As
about this
everything-
plot hole?
It's been nothing but Star Wars plot holes and things shutting down, and it's... Sorry, covering the news right now sucks. Because it's that
There's
right
bad
now for
news.
us.
There's barely any good news.
Yeah.
So the only good news is next week's movies.
Next week's movies. We decided we'll head back to the classics for Steve and I. Classic themes for us. With a Netflix Originals week with Six Underground and Spencer Confidential next week. We haven't done a Netflix Originals, and we haven't seen... I think the last one we did was the one with Michael Pena.
Oh yeah,
Um,
I know what you're talking about, but yes, I think you're right.
Fuck, I don't remember the name of that.
The
It was an
alien
enjoyable
one?
enough film, yeah. The alien one. Good times. Yeah, that's gonna be next week's movies. So,
Alright,
yeah.
I've got nothing else on this. You've got something.
I got nothing left.
All right, so we're done here, everybody. We're calling it quits before my internet calls it. Oops, I hit one button too far. Before my internet calls it quits. So, yeah, thanks everybody who was here for all the fun times and the conversations and and all that stuff. Follow us on YouTube and Twitter and join our Discord and
All the fun stuff.
exactly. So yeah, well, thanks for stopping by, and then we'll see you next week for our Netflix originals. But until then, bye.